This is one of the best books I've read in my entire life. It's called Fly Wild Swans by Jung Chang, and it's a follow-up to her previous book, Wild Swans, which I read back when I was a teenager, when I was 16, 17 in 2002, 2003, which was the story of Jung Chang, her grandmother, mother, and herself. So 3 generations of women in China. And because of that book, I so almost chose to do Chinese at university. That's how utterly taken I was with Wild Swans. And so this book, the follow-up to it, it came out on the 16th of September, and it is extraordinary. You don't need to have read Wild Swans beforehand, but it is the follow-up, but it does revisit some of the things in Wild Swans, but I think it's even better written. It's just, the writing is so sharp and tight. I think it's a lot tighter even than Wild Swans. And I can just picture everything so vividly. So it's her personal story and her family, but through that you get the story of what's been happening in China throughout these women's lives, and it is just incredible. It's fascinating, and just things that you don't know and that aren't taught at school. So it's her journey through Mao's China, the Cultural Revolution, during which her father and her grandmother died, and just all these scenes which feel so unreal to us who have lived relatively safe lives. All these things that really happened feel almost surreal. So Jung Chang always had this sort of yearning to be a writer, but it's not something she could even imagine, because people who were writers, journalists, were disappeared or executed or sent to gulags, labour camps. So it wasn't a realistic thing that you could become. And while she was working as a peasant or as a steel worker or electrician, she was dreaming up these things that she wanted to write in her mind and penning them in her mind. She tells the story of the first time she ever wrote a poem, but the Red Guards knocked on the door and there was a raid on her flat, and so she quickly tore the poem up and threw it down the toilet. Mao told the population that books make people stupid, and so he banned all the books, confiscated them and burned them, because of course it suited him to have a population that was uneducated, and of course you get more stupid without books, and it very much suits these dictators to have a more ignorant, pliable population. And just seeing how a whole population, through fear, brainwashing, propaganda, can be galvanized into horrific acts and denunciation meetings, and even children being encouraged to smash down their schools and do things to their teachers, get their teachers beaten. The whole schooling system stopped in China for a very, very long time. And even after she'd first written Wild Swans, she still, even her mother pointed out in her book where there were phrases which had been stuck in her brain from the propaganda, and so she was still calling some of the events the same thing as the official party line had called things. And it took her a while to detangle from that. And it's just so relevant to now, when there's so much false information on the internet and so much propaganda and people being riled up and maybe pushed into views that they may not have had before, and how a population can sort of become a mob, manipulated and puppeteered by the people who are at the top. And even now, Jung Chang's books are all banned in China, and she's on a blacklist. She can't get back into China to see her mother on her deathbed, because after Wild Swans, she researched with her historian husband for 12 years and wrote a book on Mao. So they did so much research and interviews of the people who were actually there, and their estimates of how many people Mao was responsible for killing was the same as other people who have now done historical estimates, which is around 70 million, and that's during peacetime, and I think it was around 35 million in the Great Famine, but which wasn't caused by natural means or incompetence. It was a very deliberate thing that Mao caused, and was okay with tens of millions of Chinese people dying. So Mao's name should be up there with Hitler and Stalin, which of course is not allowed in China at all. It's completely censored. And then she spent another 6 years researching another person in China's history. Now this book too. So this book is from 1978, when she arrived in Britain, when she was finally free, and details her time from then to now, to contemporary China. And there's so much about contemporary China that I didn't even realise was true now. Things got slightly better in the 1990s, and early 2000s, but now it's gone back to a lot more controlled, and there are re-education centres and work camps. I think it was in 2018 that the leader of China now can't be taken away, that there's no fixed term anymore. I think they could only be 10 years before, and now it's infinite, the amount of time that he could stay in power. But I would just love everybody to read this book. It is incredible, and you won't be bored through it, but it feels so nourishing to the brain. It's so sharp and astute that it makes your brain feel sharp and astute. But it's not like, oh, you have to eat your vegetables, just chew through your vegetables. It's not like you're wading through. It's as if vegetables tasted of your favourite food in the world. So it doesn't feel like a drag or anything. It's both nutritious and delicious. So this book is probably what I'll be buying everyone for Christmas, if you know me. It's definitely a must read. I of course listen to it on audiobook because I can't read physical books or ebooks because of my neck.